Yes, there is a new Keiron unit. It was released to the public on March 31st. Introducing the Fuse. No, not that kind of fuse. The Fuse is a cool but fairly simple unit, but at the same time has a couple interesting interactions that are really worth knowing about. But hold on a second. If you're one of those unfortunate people who has no idea what the Keiron is and you don't know about the Scion custom races for Starcraft 2, maybe rather than watch this video, you want to first go watch this video here, which you can find a link for in the description below. But for the rest of us, back to the Fuse. First, here's the basics of what you really need to know. The Fuse is a flying unit, but it attacks neither air nor ground. In fact, the Fuse does not attack at all. Instead, it has a single special ability. It jumps inside other units, like some sort of alien possession. This ability is called Fusion. Shocking, right? Anywho, when the Fuse uses its Fusion ability, it grants two effects. One, it donates its 150 points of shields to the target unit. Two, it grants the Fuse unit +1 armor. Just so you understand, when the Fuse is on its own and flying around, it has 80 life and 150 shields for a total of 230 hit points. When a target unit gets fused, it gets +150 shields. This stacks with the target unit's existing shields, improving it, not replacing it. For example, an Inducer has 160 shields. Once infused, it has 310 and is much beefier. Also, as you've probably noticed, once the target unit is fused, it gets all glowy and goldeny. In lower resolution graphics, the unit will look kind of like it's on fire, or gold fire as I like to call it. But with higher resolution or zoomed in, you will see strange alien cube-like patterns. There's a lot of detail here. Now, for that +1 armor bonus I mentioned, that's armor against attacks being absorbed by the shield only. Once the shield is depleted, the unit has its normal armor bonus only, which may well be 0. So now, let's dive deeper with some important details. Shaping in a Fuse costs 75 minerals and 25 gas. It has a supply cost of 1. Overall, this is a fairly cheap unit. The only Keiron units cheaper than that are the Pariah and the Volt made at the Edifice. For comparison, 75.25 is the exact cost of a Roach. Now, you make a Fuse at the Conduit. That's the basic air building where you make the Echo. Or, to be more accurate, the Conduit is the building which generates the charges that permit you to make the Fuse. You can actually make the Fuse anywhere you can make any other normal Keiron unit, which is a close distance within range of a Citadel, the Keiron Nexus, if you will. The Fuse warps in, or shapes in to use the right lingo, in 4 seconds. But the real cooldown time, of course, is the charge at the Conduit. That's 21 seconds. So in grand total, you can make a Fuse in 25 seconds. Conduits are one of the few buildings that can generate and store 3 charges, by the way. Most other Keiron charging structures are limited to holding 2. Once the Fuse appears, it has 2 tags or attributes. The Fuse is light, the Fuse is biological. But once the Fuse is inside another unit, it's the target unit's tags that continue to govern. Now, here's some interesting stuff I've observed so far. Yes, the Fuse can indeed jump out of a unit and go into another one. You just tap the U key for unfuse and then refusion it back into the next unit. He's been uninfused. So, is there the possibility for some sort of micro here? Or are we talking insane APM required? Time will tell. But the limiting factor is that the Fuse ability has a cooldown of 4 seconds. And that clock starts after an uninfuse. So once a Fuse uninfuses, it can't immediately go back in again. Next, you need to appreciate that the Fuse's shields regenerate fast. Like, really fast. Probably because the Fuse is always considered to be out of combat because they don't attack. But it's even faster than that. So the micro opportunity is that you can eject the Fuse, let it heal up for a couple of seconds, and then fuse it back down 4 seconds later. Probably not so easy to do in the heat of mass combat, but that's where this is likely going to evolve to, and probably very much intended. The fuse's shields do not regenerate when the fuse is actually being attacked, but as soon as the attack stops, the fuse is considered to be out of combat very quickly, and the high-speed shield regeneration kicks in. Now, it's important to note that you can't double infuse a unit, i.e., you can't stuff 2 fuses into a Paragon. That would be too awesome. But the real question that's up in the air is, can you serially infuse? And the answer is, sort of. You might think once the target unit's first 150 shields are depleted, you can stuff another one inside. That won't work. Even if the target unit is completely out of shields, you still can't fuse it again. But what you can do is unfuse the target unit first and then pop in another fresh fuse that is off cooldown. You can then, in theory, even actually rotate 2 or 3 fuses within a single target unit because the original fuse is going to heal up amazingly fast. But this is going to take some serious practice. Another note, yes, Keiron buildings have shields, but you still can't fuse a building. That includes turrets. It's also neat to appreciate that you can retrieve the fuse from a target unit at any time. And if you don't retrieve it and the target unit dies, you don't lose the fuse. The fuse pops out with 80 life and 0 shields. And if you're lucky enough that the fuse isn't getting attacked, those shields are going to regenerate pretty quick. How about the range of the infusion? Can you infuse from anywhere? There is a range on the infusion. It's probably around 7 or 8 units, but it doesn't matter a whole lot, as you can order a fuse to perform a fusion from any distance, and the fuse will automatically fly into where it is in range and then fuse. It's nice and tidy. Which reminds me that the fuse has a flight speed of 5.6. That falls in the highest technical category, the very fast category as it's called. For comparison, that is identical to the speed of a Mutalisk or an Oracle, 5.6. The only core game air unit that I can think of that's faster, that can hunt it down for certain, is a Phoenix. Let's talk comparables for a second. The fuse is so unique, it's hard to think of anything really for comparison. But just for food for thought, a Protoss shield battery can restore 300 shields, twice as much as the fuse, and it only costs 100 minerals, 0 gas. But the shield battery can't give you shields over your unit's existing max. It only restores 50 points of shields per second, not 150 instantly. The fuse's fusion is instantaneous, and you can stack it on top of the target's unit shields. How about the Keiron's Paradox? The Paradox gets you plus 100 shields with a spell, no cost at all. But it's time limited and it wears off. The fuse, in theory, lasts the whole game. All in all, this unit, the fuse, is brand new. It's too early to know how it really fits in, and I bet its cost is going to be raised or lowered depending on whether the fuse gets abused or overlooked. But I'm excited to see if it becomes a new kind of micro for my favorite game. If you haven't tried the Keiron out yet and you're interested, I have a quick tutorial video on how to do so. You can find it in the description below as well. So I hope you'll give the fuse a try. Let me know what you think. Seriously, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Anyways, I hope I haven't made you confused. Maybe some of you are profused. And do give some due consideration to subscribing because we've got a pretty cool video coming out next Sunday and I wouldn't want you to miss. So, from my base to yours, Zugzwang out. To continue your Starcraft journey, Nova advises you to click the video in the upper rectangle. But Kerrigan warns you to watch your 6 and click the video in the bottom rectangle. Or you can stimpack your Starcraft experience. Subscribe to Zugzwang Starcraft. Just hit the circle. From my base to yours, Zugzwang out.